What's going on, guys? So today on this 00CTOBER review, we're going to look at this little bitty kit. And you're saying to yourself, well, Shoki, didn't we already look at a PG EXIA with Mitchell's? Yes, we did. But he didn't build that, or I didn't build that one. This one, on the other hand, I did. So, this is, of course, the PG box. And this is the lighting model, so it's got all the nice shininess here and all the things. If you get the non-lighted version, the box is vaguely different, but clearly a little bit better. I'm not going to do the whole thing that I normally do when going around the box, but I'm just going to show it off. If you want to see the unboxing for this thing, you can go over to the Hobbytown channel, or I'll link it in the thing over here, like usual, up in the eye. And you can go see the actual unboxing, because I'm not doing an unboxing for this huge thing. Alright, and you got the back. Perfect grade Gundam EXIA lighting model, 1/60th scale, action, does the thing, GN drives, hand parts, hatches, gimmicks and details, armaments, LED set, which is of course what makes this thing the way it is. You've got activation and all the different modes, lighting, armor and frame structure, all the things down there. 32,000 yen, so $320 thereabouts. That's pretty much what I paid for it. I got this one at Hobbytown Houston, but of course you could have picked it up online. I believe you can still get it online at a few websites, so you don't have to buy the non-lighted and then buy the $130 lighting unit. So, if you can still find it, I think Gundam Planet still has it. I think I actually just saw it this morning when I was filming this, which is of course not the morning you guys are seeing it. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get to this huge big boy. Oh, by the way, just real quick, can't see it because it's not in the light, but you got a Celestial Being logo there, and EXIA on that side. This thing is huge. Alright guys, so here we have the PG EXIA, and I did this as a straight build. So basically, it's as it comes out of the box with some panel lining. Now, first and foremost, I'll say it off the bat, it's not done, as there's no stickers on it or anything like that, and there's a reason, because I do want to paint it, or at least the blue parts. I'm not a fan of how it's purplish. Like on camera, it looks more blue, but everything looks blue on my camera when I'm filming. But it is actually more of a purple, and we talked about that on Mitchell's. And frankly, I want it to be a proper blue. So I have the blue, I just ran out of time to actually get it painted. Go ahead and raise up the camera just a little bit. This is a big boy. This is the largest Gundam kit I've ever had to review on this set. So yeah. So I'm going to, in a little while, update this. So I'll take off all the blue parts. I'm going to repaint those. And then apply all the stickers, because I don't want to, obviously didn't want to do the stickers before painting. That would be silly. But this thing is incredibly awesome. It took me a bit over 19 hours to build this and over the course of 3 days. So I started it Friday afternoon. I finished it by Sunday evening, and this thing is absolutely ridiculous in every sense of the word. The frame took me only a few hours, a handful of hours, and I thought, okay, well, this is actually going to be way quicker than I thought. Then I started on the armor, and immediately figured out where all the work was going to go. The armor, it starts you out with the chest, just the chest, torso parts, and down to here. Took me like 3 hours. Yeah. To fully dress this guy from a bare frame, which you can see the picture here of the bare frame, it took me 8.5 hours to completely armor this guy up. It was a very, very long day. But I didn't have anything better to do after I got off work. So, yeah, I set my goal. I wanted it done over the weekend, and I got it done over the weekend. And I am very, very impressed. Now, with Mitchell's, everything being painted, everything being all nice and neat, didn't really want to do a proper review of it, just kind of showing it off. But this one, we're going to do a real proper review. I'm going to do all the articulation and stuff now while it's like this, and then we'll get to all the accessories and the cool stuff it can do. So first and foremost, head is kind of on a ball joint so he can swivel, he can look around. Just be careful because there is a wire going into the neck. So you can move him around. It's pretty good. I don't think he can turkey neck. I think it just sort of... Oh no, it has a little hinge to it. Just a little. The little chest vent fins right there do pull up, which comes in handy later. These vents, or these little bits right here on the chest, do swing in and out. I'm trying to do this to the best of my ability, and my lighting is not set up for something this large. It's kind of crazy, so prepare for lots of shadows. The shoulders, once again, this is something I'm probably not going to be able to go all the way around because the wires are attached. But you can rotate the shoulders up, and you can see right here, it came untucked from inside the arm. The shoulders armor can go up and down. You've got the cool translucent bits here. This part here can move up and down on a hinge. It just doesn't go super high. I will say one thing that is incredibly annoying. These things, I don't know if it's static or if they're sticky from mold release, everything sticks to it. So any of these clear plastic parts like here, like the rubbery ones inside the legs, anything like that, super sticky to like particles, so dust and nubs and stuff get all stuck in there. You do not have bicep rotation because you just don't. You have elbow rotation. Once again, just be careful because there is wires coming down in here, so it can go so far. You do get double jointed elbow. All the wires tuck away all nice and neat in there. You got the nice gem there. Same thing right here with the crystal stuff. This is less sticky than this. These hands are articulated, so you have to build these guys. Anybody familiar with some of the master grade hands is used to these. You can see all the terrible nubs on the fingertips. That part sucks. I might end up hitting those with some gunmetal or something like that. I don't know. But you do get a wrist joint here. He can... Oh, I gotta... Let me fix the elbow a little. You can move the wrist in and out. It's very nice. Technically, you can even swivel it. That's pretty cool. Thumb joint. I would do a high teacher, but realistically, I don't think that shoulder... If you did not have the wiring in there, I would say you could totally do a good high teacher. But we'll settle for... a sideways peace sign. I know. It is what it is. But it's cool. These are incredibly fiddly, by the way. The chest, you have an ab crunch forward, lean back. It's not really an ab crunch, it's just a hinge down at the base. You can little teapot side to side, and these little flank armors do accordion and move, like I said, accordingly. If you open all of these up and you build it, your little Setsuna figure will totally go inside there. If I paint mine, I will put it in there. I'm considering painting it because unlike a master grade, it's decently sized. And we saw Mitchell's. Come down, we'll move to the crotch. So we've got ball joint mounted skirt into there, but then it's also on a complex hinge to get it up and out the way, depending on how you want to do it. So you can kick forward quite a bit, at least for something so large. It can go further. Once again, I'm limiting things only because of the wiring. I don't want to pinch anything or cause any problems. You can go out decently far. You're not going to get a perfect Jean-Claude plus wiring. You do get thigh rotation. Doesn't go too far, but you don't need to go all the way around. And one thing that's neat, you do have... This is part of the gimmicks, but I'm going to show it off now. Such a much better way to mount the side weapons. So this flips down, thing clips on, and that covers it. It's so much nicer than what the MG does. Now you do get big old double jointed knee, almost triple jointed knee. So hinge here and giant hinge here. And like later on when you get to the gimmicks, you got panels that'll open up down here. I think I'll skip that part because I don't know how to do it all. And it's going to be annoying. Also, the crotch, you do have the ability to raise this up, and I believe the entire crotch and hips can drop down, but I've never done it, and I'm not going to fight it. I know it has something to do with that right there. So, is what it is. Ankles, very similar to the master grade, but better. So it can kick forward that far, back that far, can rotate the feet, can turn it this way. You do get a toe and a moving front part of your foot. Back doesn't go anywhere. Of course, this toe is usually what's bad on the master grade and why it wants to fall over so much. I do dig this part, got a little hair in there. Cool thing is when you're constructing this, with the exception of these, the legs are identical, so it actually goes fairly quickly. A lot like some of these builds, when you really get into the intuitiveness of it, you can actually make the build go a little faster. So instead of stopping to do like half a section, you know where you're going already, so you can just go ahead and change it up and build both sides at the same time. Because the only places you really start getting wonky is right at the beginning when you're wiring up the chest, and that's where you really start losing a lot of time, at least while doing the frame. Without the lighting set, it would be insanely easy to build this kit. It's just time consuming, and that's the only thing I'll say about it. It's time consuming, but it's not hard, not really. Technically, you've got articulation. That's part of that panel thingy. All of these move like they should, the beam sabers, and you got ball joint mounted rear skirts. You've got GN drive stuff that happens back here. The GN drive is really annoying me, to be honest. I don't know if something came loose, but it is wibbly, a little wibbly. And we'll take a look at it a little more closely later on, but I like that you can open these up and pull stuff out. It's actually very, very cool. Alright, so moving on to all of his weapons and accessories and stuff. We got the big main accessory that we have seen already before, if you go check out the tutorial right up here. So you can have this thing battery powered like usual and have to keep putting in AA batteries, or you do the USB mod that Mitchell did, and like I said, you can go check that out on the previous video. But this thing is actually very cool. I didn't really show it off that much in that video, but I've got just a little bit of paint going on there, some gold and some chrome, just making little buttons stand out. I do intend, once I get this thing painted, the EXIA that is, I do intend to actually take several different clear coats to this and make different spots shine, more or less, or less shine. And then there's your button, your on and off switch, and your actual thing that makes stuff happen. Now I will show off, because we didn't do it in the video, just make a little notch right about there for the wire to peek out. It's not a big deal, just did it with my Dremel tool. You could do it with some nippers, just be careful. And I do want to maybe put some zip ties or something underneath to hold that wire in place, so it stops flopping about. But in the meantime, you do have the upright part here. Let me change positions. And got some gold buttons, chrome all the way up and down it, just for mechanical detail. And you've got these pistons right up front that are nice and fake, but I just stuck my finger right in the chrome. That's going to be dumb. It's dry, but it still will mar very easily. Now, one thing you never want to do is grab it by this part down here. This base down here will totally come loose. It's just kind of the cover and really holds this stuff in place. What you're going to do, though, if you can lift this, it allows you to really raise it up and lock it back into place. So that's not really going anywhere, so you can do some more action poses and stuff with your EXIA. But if you come up to the top where the wire is coming out, you also have this switch, which allows you to pivot it if you want. As far as I can tell, there's no lean forward or anything like that, so this is only just for making different poses happen. You just want to be careful, as previously stated, so that you don't pinch the wire. Because if you pinch this wire, you're done. It's never going to work. Because it's running inside all of this, and should be in clearable shafts, but you never know. But you do also get this guy back here. Come on. You gotta kind of clear it. There we go. And you can bring it up and even do that. And this is actually an extra little part. I can't view the whole thing all at once. It's crazy. It's an extra little part for you can plug in the GN drive. And you can see here the wire did get pinched a little bit right there, but it actually didn't hurt it much. It still functions. But you can totally plug the GN drive individually into here. So what you want to do, open up the little claw thingies there and just kind of pull that off. That's not what you're supposed to do, but you know, whatever. Grab the entire thing. It doesn't want to cooperate. And grab the whole GN drive. That's annoying. So it does clip in. It's got a tab that goes into the bottom and into the top that are inside there. And I don't know why this is being difficult. I mean, it might require some glue or something. I mean, it is super loose. It shouldn't be. But if you come in here, you can see the same electrical connections inside there. And you want the large slot at the bottom and the small slot at the top. And just clip it in and close it, and there's your GN drive plugged in separately from EXIA. Also, if you want to do the expanded version of the GN drive, you want to pull all these flaps out. Pull all these flaps out. Pull it out just a little, like so. This is where it gets a little wibbly. And turn this thing like a knob. Like so. And that's your expanded GN drive. So he's in like a high-speed mode, just... Alright guys, so one cool thing about this, you have the base here, and we sort of touched on this on Mitchell's, but he didn't have everything totally hooked up. You actually can fit virtually everything spare, weapons and everything, underneath. There we go. This is actually very, very cool. Now, I know the Unicorn had a very similar setup where you could set up a lot of things like that. Also, fairly reminiscent of the Unicorn, the high-definition Unicorn with the mobile suit cage. So, you got all of his weapons over here. So, you got like the little shield along with the big GN sword rifle mounts for those things. You've got all the spare hands. Of course, you got your wires hanging out through here. You've got your small GN swords. You've got your GN shield. You've got a little cover here. And you've got your other spare hands. Now, one thing I'll do, since we have his GN drive out, we're going to go ahead and pull this thing out. So it's kind of as if it's operating without the GN drive. Where does it go? Oh, yeah. It only goes in the one way. So if he only has a particle storage tank, you couldn't see any of that. So you can just replace the GN drive with particle storage tank. Though technically speaking, it didn't necessarily operate this way at any point. Which really kind of begs the question now that I think about it. At the end of the series, you had Lasse, who was using the O Gundam ACD with particle storage. The EXIA existed and was useful, kind of. You could have done the same thing with the EXIA at the end of the series and actually had him in the final battle. Probably would have been a bit more useful. But either way, so I'm going to go ahead and start removing things. Everything kind of tabs in, so you got to be a little bit careful. Watch it be really difficult to maneuver. So, yeah. So this is how you plug it in, and of course that's the extra bit there. You got the shield mount for that, or arm mount for the shield, I should say. There's your other part. You got to be a little careful because you don't want to accidentally pull on something that might come apart on you. Got that big beauty, like you do. And grab. I think the hands are going to be the hardest part to wiggle out. And we touched on the extra hands on Mitchell's as well. It's funny that we completely forgot up until the end that all that stuff was underneath. Okay, yeah, I think I just jacked that up a little bit. Oh, that's that thumb. I'll talk about that in a bit. I screwed that up when I was building it. Yeah, there's not a good way to wiggle those out of there, so you just got to do what you got to do. And much like what I like to do with a lot of you things for you guys, this is the first time I'm doing this. I did accidentally, that particular hole where that hand broke in is actually cracked now. I wasn't paying attention and I tried to pick it up and my hand grabbed that where that hand was and it snapped it just a little bit. It still plugs in there, it's just a little looser than the things around it. These plug in very nicely. Gotta love GN swords. This shield might be a little too secure. There we go. It's on there. Alright, so for right now, I'm going to set the base aside. And we'll look at the weapons. Okay, so first and foremost, we'll start with the shield. Very nice GN shield. This thing is actually layered very well. Everything is actually very well layered. So these are two separate pieces. This is a separate piece. That's a separate piece. That's a separate piece. These are all separate pieces. Same thing down here. And it is very, very pointy. Cool thing is, we sort of covered that on Mitchell's, but barely. You can totally open it up. Now it's going to be a little hard to see. I got to catch the light just right. But you do have the green clearness in there, and all of that does have a chrome sticker. And it's really cool because the chrome stickers, when you're peeling them, I didn't notice this until I was halfway through. Chrome stickers look like they're just chrome when you slap them on there. And then I didn't realize the opposite side, the part that's facing outward, is actually a green chrome. So I'm only seeing the back side. That was actually just regular chrome. Okay, I need the mount. Just plugs in like it's supposed to. And this does move up and down, very similar to the way the unicorn shield does, which is mildly frightening. And just plugs into the arm like they always do. Just gotta make sure it's in straight. And you can slide the shield up and down depending on how you want to do it, but mind you, it's going to interfere with the shoulder. So I like the fact that it doesn't need a hand grab, anything like that. It's pretty cool. Once again, I got these articulated fingers on here. I'll play with those in a second. So we can grab just a fist, because he's not going to hold anything in this hand, at least not right now. And the hands just plug in like so. I can't remember if that's polycap or not, but it does just plug into the hole. And there's a slight cock to the wrist. That's pretty good. I like that. Just ever so slight angle. What are you doing with your hands here, EXIA? Okay, so we can go with the small GN sword. Now this one, you guys will notice, has a slight crack right there. You can see it easier here. It broke as soon as I cut it off the runner. So these silver pieces come pre-painted, and I think they're translucent black, and then they silver coat it to give it a decent coat, and it broke on me. I was not happy about that, but I didn't have to glue it or anything. It just went together, and it's actually pretty fine. You do have this bit that can slide up and down. I believe it's supposed to be down for sword mode. You do have the tab in the handle that flips out. That, of course, is very much like the Master Grade kit. I got it facing the wrong way. And you can use this with either type of hand. So if you want to use the open hand, you can totally do that, or you can grab these guys here, the weapon holding hands. None of those fingers come out. There we go. So, much like the good master grade hands, you've got the big tab, and you just intertwine said tab together, like so. And in this case, you slap the fingers back together, and you have a nice secure hold. And actually, I'm going to default to that hand, realistically, for most of this. So you can plug it in, like so. And you can hold your little bitty sword. And you can hold the big bitty sword. Which is pretty cool. I like that. To me, I wish it would be choked up a little bit more on it, but I guess it's still good. Gotta make sure you get those fingers plugged in all the way. So those are actually very, very cool. Now, you can store them on the body, as I pointed out before. Let me go ahead and get it out of his hand. So you come back over here to the hips. Go ahead and flip these out. If you have the thigh turned, you're gonna lose it. So you've got that little tab there. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this one out as well. I've done this already before, and it's not easy, if I'm honest with you guys. So go ahead and grab the sword, and you've got this tab right here on the side, and this is where you lose fingernails, because that is actually very, very hard to pull out. I think I bent my fingernail a little bit. Now the short one is supposed to go on this side, the long one on the other. So you just want to line up that gap, and I didn't even realize this until after the fact, that rotates to accommodate. So kind of hold this in place and just snap that guy down until the whole thing pops off like that. It's not really what you're supposed to do, but hey, if it works, right? Just kidding. Get in there. So, there we go. Now, one thing that does suck, you can rotate it a little, but not a whole lot. So it's only going to droop back about like that. And we do the same thing to the big one. And come in here. Kind of turn that just a little bit so you can have some room to work. I couldn't tell what the heck it was. Like, I was like, why is this not going? And I did not realize that it could turn. Now, I really wish this was a little bit easier than it is, but I mean, it's not terrible. Come on. Get in there. There we go. Also, beam sabers. Much like the master grade, the beam sabers pop off fairly easily. So if you get that, kind of like that, and you want to use that hinge a little bit more to your ability to rotate it down and out of the way, if it'll go. It's being retarded. Alright, go ahead and fold that handle back in. So there it is with the swords on his sides. Now, if you take one of the beam saber handles, like so, you can flip these up, and of course, reveal tab, and you get clear blades. Oh, look at that. I totally left it up. You get the stubby blades, if you want, or you get the incredibly long blades that I never cleaned up. But I don't intend on really using the beam blades, but look how huge that is. That's, you know, nearly as tall as he is. It's just a little over the shoulders. But if you want, you can use the standard weapon holding hand, or you can sub it out for one of these cool hands. So it's like it's a semi-expressive hand, but it's also a weapon holding hand, and I think they really did intend these for the beam sabers. Go ahead and pop those off. I like the single pointed finger is quite funny. It's like, hey, you over there, and then you plug this back in. Come on, there we go. That's actually the loosest fit out of any of them, but then you get a nice angled hand, so that way you don't have to finagle with a wrist. You can totally make this happen with the actual normal posable hands, but that gives you kind of this look if you really want. Now, what I forgot to mention earlier, and I gotta figure out which hand it is. So this hand right here, this left expressive hand, so he does come with these two, so he's like, I think Mitchell used a couple of these. They have the tabs like a normal one, like a master grip would have, so that would fill in for the thumb gap there, so the ball joint will stay in place a little bit better, such as that left hand does. I grabbed the wrong one. I needed to grab an 18, and I grabbed the 19. And so ended up actually trimming the tabs off, because these are undergated for the most part. Almost all the big armor pieces are undergated. I mistook the tabs there for undergating, and when it wouldn't go together, I screwed that up ever so slightly. But it still functions, so it's actually not a terrible, terrible mistake. So you can get him kind of like, hi. Hi. I've got a fishing rod. It's made of energy. Kind of looks like a fishing rod, if I'm honest. So that's most of those weapons and hands. And the big boy we really want to see. I mean, this is not easy to do because we have so much Gundam to work with here. So we grab the big old GN sword gun rifle bit thingy. Grab this part right here. Grab this part right here. And you can go ahead and attach it. The swivel joint for that is incredibly tight, so you have to be a little careful and really work it out before you start stressing it. And then this part plugs in back here. And I will tell you guys right now, I had the hardest time when I first got this together. I could not get it to plug into his arm properly. And it was before I realized that this was on a slider. One thing you can do, you can prop this out just a little bit for effect, because it is also a GN shield, so that's pretty cool. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and grab the normal weapon holding hand, because I have done this with the articulated fingers, and I'll tell you right now, it is insanely annoying to try to articulate it with those hands. So I'm going to keep the thumb pointed backwards. Forgot to yank the fingers off. You always got to pull the fingers off first. Just remember that, guys. And tab it in. Rotate the thumb around. Kind of like so. I will say, this is much easier than the MG, but it's just as annoying. It's easy, but annoying at the same time. So figure out where your fingers are at, because there's not a lot of room to work here. And I just hit the camera with the sword. That's how you know it's a good review, if you hit the camera with the sword, right? Come on. There we go. I know it would tab in eventually. Speaking of tabbing in, you've got this big tab here. You've got that big slot down there. Just position everybody to where it lines up. You can see everything, of course, rocks. We've seen this before on HGs. We've seen this before on the MG version. Basically, every EXIA has this same setup. That's how you know they did it right. Okay, hand is plugged in. That's plugged in there. Come down here. It's going to be hard to show. So rotate that to where the shield is doing its thing. And kind of just get it plugged in. And this plugs in very, very well. When I was stripping this guy down for the review, it did not want to come out. Now, it does pivot ever so slightly there as well. Actually, it'll go all the way around if you really want it to be honest. So you've got a little bit of wonky angle. You can kind of put things at. It won't do, as far as I know, it won't do what the MG will do, where you can really get it to lay flat. But you can get it, as we've seen with Mitchell's, nice and sword-like. So that is, of course, the gun mode. You can actually, I always forget about this, the barrel slides out ever so slightly. And you can flip the sword back up. And it does have a tiny little tab at the end. And the whole thing just comes apart on you. I had a feeling that might happen. It was feeling really strange there. And this is not the easiest thing in the world to realign. There we go. Tie that back together and rotate everybody back and secure like. So there we go. We've got his big old GN sword. What is it, 2? I forget. I always forget which one this one is. But that is huge. I mean, we discovered that on Mitchell's review. But look at it with the beam saber. I mean, the long beam saber is easily as long as his forearm and gun together. Now, one thing I do tend to forget about on EXIA is it's not just a gun. You can use it as a sword. So just unplug everybody back here. Let this all sort of rotate upward. Use all the hinges to your ability. And you can hold it in sword mode. He did use this way a few times. Personally, I don't like it in vertical sword mode. I like it better in gun sword mode. I think it just looks cooler. And it's sleeker, plus you're getting a lot more chopping action in my opinion. So, it is what it is. Whatever you want it to be, whatever you got. You can just be, hey, I'm EXIA. And I'm awesome. Now, of course, you got to do the important thing. We've got the GN drive, of course, from earlier. And make sure, once again, tab is down, or big tab is down, small tab is up. And one thing I didn't quite cover before, because we haven't looked at it all the way yet, this thing is basically the entire control unit for the LED system. Now, if you have the non-lighted version, of course, you'll still have a GN drive. It's just not going to have the controls and all that stuff like that. So, EXIA by itself will not light up unless the GN drive is plugged in there. I learned that the dumb way. And I had to message Mitchell. I'm like, hey, why is it not lighting up? He's like, do you have the GN drive plugged in? I'm like, no. He's like, it don't work without the GN drive. And I went, oh, that makes sense. It's actually like the series. It's like the Gundam itself won't function without the GN drive. So that's funny. Just remember that in case you guys have that same experience. Holy crap, that will not come apart. Now guys, one very important thing that comes with this kit, and I haven't covered it as of yet, but will be very important to the future, and actually it's very important during construction. They give you this multi-tool. So it comes with a nice pointy part here. It's got a slightly duller part. It has this right there. A nice little circular bit. It has a little grip, and it has 2 flat sections there. This is a pry tool. This is a pushing tool. So I've used this many times to get wires routed where they need to go. Had to pry armor apart multiple times. I've used this on multiple kits so far, not just EXIA. And when it comes to taking it apart later to paint the blue, this is absolutely necessary. Now, I don't think according to what I looked at, I don't think the non-lighted version comes with this. I think only the lighted version does. Because it mentions specifically in the lighting kit, like if you buy the actual LED set later, it does come with this tool. So I had to use it just now to pry the beam saber out of that holding hand. It did not want to let go. So I want to plug this back on. And we're going to go ahead and do the big thing that everybody is here for. We're going to go ahead and get the lights going. If I could pick this stupid base up. So we'll bring in the base. And we'll cover a couple things here. So right now I've got the base extended up. So he's a little bit higher than he should be. So I'm going to go ahead and drop it down just a little. Now, the way it mounts is through this thing here. But first, we need to do the wires. So you have the little bit dangling out right here. Now, you can tab that away, once again, using the thing. There is a small section right back inside there. If you don't have them plugged up, you can actually route that wire back in there if you need to. You can see it a lot better if I raise that up. which I need this raised up anyways to access the holding tab. So with the wires, you want to make sure you've got it facing the right way so that your pins line up with your holes. And then it is a very, very tight connection when you first do it. So you're going to have to test the wires, test the lights before you really get everything together. And you want to make sure that you can get it apart. Never push or pull directly on the wires, guys. You could seriously damage it. Now you have a T-shaped tab that is up inside the back there, just below the GN drive. Sorry, the beam saber keeps popping off. It's right back in there. So you have to get this up and under there, like so. You don't want to pry everybody off, but it will basically sit in there like that. And once again, this is where I raised it up in a funny position earlier. I feel like I'm not hitting it exactly. I don't think I am. I think I'm too low. This red part is what's in my way. There we go. That's the one. That's how you do it. I knew something was not quite there. And actually you can see to drop it down just enough. Go ahead and pop this back up. I mean, it's fine that he's dangling, but we don't want it to dangle too much, so just get it to where the feet are touching. And there we go. So now we've got the wire hooked up, and you can tuck the wire back a little bit if you want to, wrap it around the actual bit. Maybe pull the blade out. And we'll rotate this guy like so. Let's do a slow pan up here. Okay, that was silly, but it is what it is. Go ahead and straighten these weapons out. I might remove the GN swords for other purposes. And you want to just kind of... See, this is where the way that is attached gets a little bit weird. Weapons at the side, kind of. I'm going to go ahead and dim some of these lights real quick, just so we can see. Now, we do have battery power, just like we looked at in the tutorial. And you can get any kind of USB port. It will actually work by plugging it in as well, as long as you have this power source. Go ahead and turn that on. The on switch is already on, so let's go ahead and hit the button. Now, one thing you guys will notice, and this came up in Mitchell's review or when we did Mitchell's, it's flashing like crazy. It's actually not. It's a bit more stable. It's just that the camera at 60 frames per second is catching the frame rate going. So it's kind of funny. But if we come around the back, you can see the GN drive. Let me turn it off, turn it back on again. We can watch the GN drive spin up. You actually see it spinning. Now, what Mitchell said is, of course, this isn't just LEDs. It's a ring of LEDs doing its thing. But in the old one, it was a mechanical thing actually spinning in the 00. But that's pretty cool. And like I said, the flashing is a little bit weird. I might have to slow it down or something. I don't know. Or speed it up. One of those two. But we'll hit the button again. I gotta zoom out so we can see. Try to zoom out so we can see the whole shebang all at once. So one thing would be cool is to have this on a remote. So you fire it up, and you can see all the blue lights, including here on the arms, in the chest, the head. The head is nice and lit up. Got have to wander here. So you can see, once again, it's not actually flashing like that. It's just that at 60 frames, you're picking up the actual pulsing of the LEDs. You see the sides here, all the way up there. So that's pretty cool. Set it down, push the button again. And this is accumulating mode, I believe. So he's building up particles. So you see different parts start flashing purple. So really it's just got blue and red LEDs in there, and it just makes purple kind of. Oh, one thing is cool, and it's hard to see, the sides are lighting up. There we go. Push it again. And he's pretty much in Trans Am mode. So all the bits glow green or solid green. You've got all the pink going down the side. And it kind of fades down near the extremities. And you can't see it on the arms, but it's there. There you go. So there we go. And push it again. And it powers out. Ran out of particles. And then it powers back up. Once you run through the cycle once, it goes back to the beginning, and it'll start doing it on its own. So right now it's just the normal power up mode. And then it flickers once again. Goes to blue. And then it'll go into accumulated mode here in a second. Or accumulating mode. Okay, there it goes. So now it'll just start doing its thing. See if it comes back, because I know it will. I know it does. It'll automatically just keep going as long as it has power. So whether you're using battery, whether you're using USB, I think I actually bumped. It's a pretty sensitive button. I think I may have just bumped it. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Trans Am. Power down. Now see, I wish it could stay at the red, to be honest. I think that would be cool, but it will cycle through and do its thing. I think it just does it every couple minutes or so. I'll go ahead and get it posed to a degree. Like the clip will, or the thing will hold the weight, so it can actually be posed as we saw with Mitchell's. That's actually pretty cool pose there. Wow. Like I said, if you leave it long enough, it will start cycling through all the modes. But yeah, this thing is awesome. Considering it took how long it took, I'm actually very much happy with it. So there you go. It's starting to cycle. But guys, we'll go ahead and flick these lights on, and you can see that you can still see the lights. It is super bright though in here, so it is what it is. If you have this thing set up, it could be really cool. Now, if you use the wired techniques and put it with like a remote control, and you have it set up in your room, you know, the way I have my DTOFs done with a remote light switch, that will be very, very awesome. And I might do that in the future. Just get a long enough cord, get a USB extension, and actually have it plugged in to like a cell phone base, because that will work as well. Because it's just running off of 6 volts, like a cell phone charger totally would. I think I'm going to take off the side swords and just leave the other ones, but this thing is awesome. For my first perfect grade, I am incredibly happy. It was an expensive kit for sure, but with the lighting version, it's absolutely, totally worth it, guys. So if I recorded in auto, it actually does look like it's stable. That's funny, because it can actually auto ISO and stuff like that. So it's my shutter speed and everything that I normally record on. So this is how you get it to look fairly well normal. Should have just shot this whole second part in that, but that's okay. So one thing I'm going to do real quick is a comparison, because I have at least one thing I can compare it to. We have the MG EXIA. So here you can really see the difference in the blues, how this is a much brighter blue versus that, which is definitely a purple. But in case you're wondering the size difference, he's roughly the leg. He's roughly the length of the leg. Now, mind you, I did a little bit of custom paint work on this guy, giving the white shoulders and stuff like that. This one, I may or may not do the white shoulders. I might just leave them that kind of lightish lavender color. But a lot of the stickers that the MG has are what the PG does end up with, just not as many. For detail work, it'll have the GN drive stickers, stuff like that. But guys, that's it for this review. I know it was a long one, but you know what? It's a huge kit. What do you expect? So the only thing I'd really say is the downside is the way these mount. I do dig the way that you can store everything. So these are probably going to go in storage, and this is going to stay in some kind of pose. I'm pretty sure it'll fit in a detolf, but I'm not sure exactly where or how, but sorry for the lighting changing back and forth, dumb autofocus thing. But guys, this thing is absolutely worth it. It is an insane kit. If you're going to buy the knockoff brand, don't talk to me, please. And I mean that, because give credit where Bandai did the work. The LED system is amazing. You do get some incredible articulation out of something this big. The stand, the base is getting even better. The unicorn one was pretty awesome. This one's even better than that. The next generation will probably be even better. So they're advancing their technology as they go. I will say I did have a problem with the arm holding position, and I figured out that here at the chest, the shoulder joint can only move so far and doesn't really have much friction. But I finally got the arm here, this part of the shoulder, to actually move. It was just really, really stiff. Everything about it is very stiff, as it should be. The fact that it's hanging on a very simple T-tab is really, really impressive. Another thing, if you really want to have a comparison, here's Wally. So Wally could fit almost inside the torso, so that's pretty crazy. But guys, it's totally worth it. Go ahead and hit the like button if you haven't. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, if you're new to 00CTOBER. Guys, this has been an insane build. Now mind you, this is essentially one of the last things that I'm reviewing on the channel. Of course, we still have one more PG to look at. Yeah, I bet you didn't really expect that, did you? But this is my first PG. I love it. I have no idea where it's going to go. Miss Shoki is actually going to help me. I think she might be the one stickering it, because she actually likes to put stickers on. I want to challenge her to do that. Not because I'm lazy, but because she kind of really wants to do that. She wanted to build this, and I said, I don't think so, baby. And when she saw the amount of runners, she changed her mind right away. But you know, so she's gonna still help me out on it. Put the sticker decals on after I get done painting it. I have a blue. I think I might go with a lighter blue. I think the one I have is a little bit dark. But either way, guys, go ahead and grab you a 00CTOBER shirt from this year if you have not done so. In the description down below. By all means, get the tour shirt. It's pretty awesome. Get you a hoodie, because it's now hopefully getting cold. And everything. Just buy everything you can to get some 00CTOBER merch. And of course, it's been a heck of a month, guys. And like, this was the second to last build I even did. The last build, YouTube time travel, technically haven't done yet, but I know it's going to be a tough one. So I'll catch you guys on the next review. And remember, as always, to keep on building.